The following is brought to you by communication students at the University of Delaware.
Good evening, and welcome to WTV's Delaware Avenue. I'm Paul McElwee.
And I'm Krista Nutt. Delaware Avenue is brought to you by students in the Communication Department at the University of Delaware in conjunction with their winter term television project.
This year marks WTV's 20th anniversary, and for the past few weeks we have put together a wide variety of stories to try and make this year a special one for all those involved, past and present. Topics will range from a global standpoint, such as a discussion on the breakup of the Soviet Union, to more local coverage of present issues surrounding the University of Delaware and the Newark community. Our final broadcast will take a look at the past 20 years of WTV and the many people who have made it such a great success.
On tonight's program, we'll make a visit to Washington, D.C., where we'll speak to Delaware Senator Joseph Biden.
We will also discuss Delaware's new mandatory seatbelt law and talk with the local pair skating team, Rocky Marvel and Kala Urbanski.
But let's get the evening started with a topic that has been plaguing the headlines for months: the ongoing problem of our nation's dying economy.
Over a year ago, this nation experienced an economic decline that resulted in what is now the worst recession in 10 years. The average recession lasts approximately 11 months, and as we now enter our 18th month, jobs are more difficult to find than ever. Recently, I spoke with Dr. Jack Townsend, Director of Career Planning and Placement, on the subject.
I think people right now are very cautious. Companies, where they're able to, are continuing to try to have a visibility on the campus, even if they're hiring fewer people.
Some job searchers do have more of an advantage than others.
Good students in any major will continue to be fairly marketable. What happens in this type of a market is that if there are fewer jobs, it may mean that how many students are going to find it easy to get a job is reduced. So in a good year, it may be that the top half or the top third of the class find jobs relatively easily. This year, it may be the top 10%. Yeah, there are hotter fields than others, and clearly the healthcare field right now for students at Delaware is probably the one that has the most opportunity. And for Delaware, that means our nursing graduates, our physical therapy graduates, medical technology graduates in particular, I would say right now are in most demand.
What are typically the more reliable corporations for job opportunities cannot pull through in this recession. Spring of 1992 will see limited interviewing with DuPont, but the corporation will continue its university relations. There are approximately 100 to 130 positions open this year, a dramatic reduction compared to the 800 to 1,000 jobs offered in recent years. Officials from the Newark Chrysler plant say that there is no hiring at the present time. And on a larger scale, Macy's, one of the world's largest department store chains, recently filed for bankruptcy as a result of growing financial difficulties throughout the recession. According to John Stapleford, Director of the Bureau of Economic Research, the 90s have been a slow decade in terms of retail sale, and we can expect to see a growing number of shutdowns similar to that of Macy's in the near future. When will this recession finally come to an end?
I think most economists agree that by May or June of this year, 1992, we'll start growing again.
How are some of our seniors dealing with life after graduation?
I'm just going about on the job search like I would even if there wasn't a recession. But that just includes career planning and placement and sending out resume and cover letters on my own.
I am probably going to go back to England, but the recession is worse in England, so I really don't know. I'll probably look for jobs here and see what I can find, although it'll be difficult.
You can't give up. I mean, even though it's a frustrating process, you have to stay with it and continue to deal with those frustrations. Have alternatives. Graduate school is an alternative. Be sure your expectations are realistic.
The recession is slowly becoming a thing of the past, and though its effects won't soon be forgotten, this spring will bring a new hope to people all across the nation. This is Paul McElwee reporting for WTV.
We're here on Capitol Hill for a message for President Bush from Delaware Senator Joseph Biden.
And my message to the President is, Mr. President, please come up with a plan. Tell us what your vision is for this new world so that I will not be asked 20 years from now as an old man to either write the preface to a book that you or someone else has written entitled, Who Lost Russia?
Joseph Biden began his political career at age 29 when he was elected to the United States Senate to represent the state of Delaware. Recently, Biden chaired the Senate Judiciary Committee for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. He is also head of the European Affairs Subcommittee. Senator Biden introduced the proposed crime bill, which will fund local governments with money to fight crime. Biden is very concerned about the present state of the Soviet Union and the future of nuclear arms control.
There is no Soviet Union. There is no Iron Curtain. But what there is chaos in the former Soviet Union and the former Soviet Empire. And an attempt in the midst of that chaos to create a new world order that is based upon democracy. And we are perilously close to the point of being absent at the creation of that new world. What has happened with the disintegration of the Soviet Union is we have created two new nuclear states that never existed without a unified command and control. So I'm proposing that the administration fundamentally examine something they've avoided examining, and that is, how much is enough?
Biden states reasons for the crime bill's proposal.
Violent crime in America is at epidemic proportions. Under this president, the murder rate, the rape rate, the rate of violent crime is higher than it's ever been in the history of the United States of America. The House passed the crime bill. The Democrats in the Senate voted 90% for the crime bill, but the Republicans filibustered and killed the crime bill. And now the president, God bless him, has the audacity to stand up in the State of the Union message and say, "Give me my crime bill." Well, we're trying to give him a crime bill.
Biden claims that the new budget proposals will have negative effects on the state of Delaware.
There are a lot of other areas where we will affect the ability of Delaware to provide services as well. So, on balance, I think this budget is a loser for the state of Delaware in terms of the degree to which the federal government is prepared to help shoulder its share of the responsibility for everything from the drug problem straight through to the law enforcement, the crime issue, all the way down to how it provides for safety and the welfare of people out on the farm, and a lot in between.
This is Bonnie McGregor on Capitol Hill for WTV.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway, looking for adventure, and whatever comes our way.
More people in Delaware are buckling up. The main reason why is
because of the law.
As of January 1st of this year, Delaware passed a mandatory seatbelt law.
What the new mandatory seatbelt law means essentially is that after January 1st of this year, 1992, anyone who operates a vehicle in this state must ensure that not only themselves but their front seat passengers are properly fastened in by a seatbelt or a restraint device.
Even though seatbelts help save lives, this bill was not an easy piece of legislation to pass.
Very difficult to pass in the Senate. We barely got it passed in the House. Most of the amendments that were put on it that required a supermajority vote.
One of the main reasons why this bill was so difficult to pass is because many people feel the government should not tell them what to do. In a study conducted in 1988 to 1990 by the state's Department of Public Safety, the percentage of people using seatbelts has risen. Out of the people using their seatbelts, only 1 out of 14 received a serious injury. When compared to those not wearing their seatbelts, 1 out of 7 received a serious injury. Therefore, it's been found that the occurrence of a serious injury was reduced by 50% when someone wears an occupant restraint. Even though it has been proven that seatbelts are effective and Delaware now has a mandatory seatbelt law, not everyone is wearing them.
For a period covering 7 days, we made a total of 209 seatbelt violation arrest. So there are still some people out there who have not got the message.
The penalty for not wearing your seatbelt is a fine and is considered a secondary offense.
It's a secondary offense. You have to be actually stopped for another violation. Depending on what the other violation fine requirement is, up to $20 would be assessed, and that assessment would go into the victim compensation fund.
The bottom line is seatbelts help save lives. When you get in a car, there should be no question.
It doesn't take long for a traffic crash to occur, and it also doesn't take long to just put that seatbelt on and buckle it up.
So remember, buckle up, you could save your life. For WTV, I'm Kelly Rank.
These two buildings, Warner and Robinson Hall, located on the South Central campus of the University of Delaware, represent what was once the Women's College. Although the college, which was established in 1914, was affiliated with Delaware College, it remained fairly independent of its male counterpart. Robinson Hall contained all of the classrooms and laboratories, while Warner Hall was the women's dormitory. These women paid $200 for room and board, and non-resident tuition was $60. Many worked in the dining halls where they were paid 10 cents an hour. It was only in 1944 that classes became co-ed and the names Delaware College and Women's College were no longer used.
WTV will now venture into the heart of Wilmington, where we'll see what the people of that community have been doing to help aid Sojourner's Place, a shelter for the homeless.
In the heart of Wilmington is Market Street Mall, where many people enjoy their shopping while ignoring the city's most devastating problem, the homeless. Though we see them every day, we look away in hopes that they really aren't there, but reality will always be there. But now, something is being done to help these unfortunate people. Many of the stores and businesses in the area have gotten together to make something happen.
In 1990, another group out of the Downtown Merchants Association picked Sojourners as a fundraiser for us to work with. They put boxes out at many of the stores for people to put donations in. At that point, it was just being built and just being finalized, and people were just starting to move into it. We thought it was a worthwhile project, and we thought to give more money this year. One way of doing it was to sell the prints.
Sojourners is a rehabilitation center for the homeless of Wilmington. And helping Wilmington is exactly why these merchants hired an artist to depict Wilmington and to sell the print to benefit Sojourners.
One idea that was suggested by them was to do a view of the entire Market Street Mall. And I thought, well, you know, that's kind of a complicated subject, so what I was looking for was something that symbolized downtown Wilmington, and I felt that the Caesar Rodney statue did that.
After the drawing was made, money was needed to produce the prints and to get the project underway.
Delaware Trust agreed to underwrite the production of the prints, and by doing so, they then allowed us to sell the prints to make pure profit for Sojourner's Place.
But Sojourners is much more than just a place to sleep.
Develop the skills that, you know, the streets did not provide, or helping them utilize the skills the streets did provide, is really the only way that we're going to affect the growing homeless population in this country.
And why did these people need this support? How did they get into this situation?
One of the major things that keeps a lot of these people homeless is drug and alcohol addiction. And so people who have problems like that begin first in our drug and alcohol rehab unit.
Since I've been here, I've found employment, and I'm about to venture out on my own.
Sojourners was a God-given program that came to a lot of us that were really in need, not only for the shelter, but for treatment for some of us. I know there was a time ago where people made sacrifices back then for the things that we have today, such as Caesar Rodney. And now, the artists that done this and the people who are affiliated with Sojourners are making sacrifices. And hopefully one day I'll be able to go on from here and give back and make sacrifices to help others.
It's just a good feeling, you know, to get a new chance at life.
For WTV, I'm Mike Stanley, in the heart of Wilmington.
In January of 1991, Pat Shiraki became the new co-anchor of Evening Magazine, on top of her duties of doing the news for KYW here in Philadelphia.
I came to Philadelphia in March of 1982, starting out as a street reporter, in fact covering Wilmington because I had the unique experience of having been a reporter in Wilmington. But I was really such a kid on the air. Sometimes I look back at those early tapes and I can't even believe that they hired me and let me do the job.
Did you ever have any early indication that you were interested in journalism?
As going through Catholic school, the nuns always made you write compositions, and I remember always writing compositions and feeling that I had the ability to really communicate something. I always felt very confident about what I did.
Pat Shiraki graduated from Padua Academy in Wilmington in 1970, and from there she went to Rosemont, where she received a BA in American Studies.
The first job that I ever had where I earned money, besides being a kid and babysitting, was to sell ice cream. And from there, I went to WAMS in Wilmington. I was an advertising copywriter, making $100 a week.
4, 3.
In order to wake up the Delaware Valley with the morning news, Pat must rise before the sun does.
A typical day for me is the alarm going off at about 3:15, out of bed by about 4:45, here shortly thereafter, because I live very close to the television station, working like a mad woman for an hour plus to get ready for the 6 a.m. broadcast. Do that, off the air at 7. By 7:30, I usually am sitting down to write Evening Magazine, if it's my job to do it that week. Taping Evening at 7:30, or at 9:30. Okay, bye. Changes, changes, changes.
What is the difference that you see between the news and Evening Magazine?
I grew up as a news broadcaster, which is a little bit more formal and a little more focused. Now I'm involved more in an entertainment aspect of broadcasting. You're still giving information, but there is a certain entertainment quality about what it is that you're doing, and you need to be much more relaxed, and you have to have a little different presentation, a little different style.
But yes, there are exciting parts of this job.
One of the more fun stories within the last year that I've done has been to fly with the Blue Angels, and that's the Navy's aerobatic team. And it was just a real thrill, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Starting out as editor of Padua's newspaper to co-host of Evening Magazine, Pat had a mindset that she followed then and still does now.
What I discovered is that, yes, you can advance up the ladder, but there are so many times in a broadcasting or writing or journalism career when what is more important than advancement up the ladder, what's more important is breadth and depth. You need to know how to do a lot of different things.
Starting in small-town radio, Pat Shiraki has made her mark in the highly competitive market of Philadelphia, and it looks like she's here to stay. I'm Christine Fullerton for WTV.
Over the past fall and winter seasons, moviegoers have lined up for an array of blockbusters. But no other picture has generated such controversy as Oliver Stone's $40 million JFK. The thought-provoking film received national attention months before it was even completed, and its accomplished director has been holding firm in defending his radical conspiracy theory. Everyone has their own ideas regarding the assassination of John F. Kennedy, but since the best opinion is an educated one, WTV spoke with some authorities on the case.
Do you think there was a conspiracy?
The question of conspiracy is a touchy one, because if there was no conspiracy, you're trying to prove a conspiracy, you're trying to prove something that didn't happen. And in the field of criminal justice, it's what we're out to prove is things that happen.
I do not believe that there was this huge conspiracy of generals at all who decided to kill the President of the United States. I don't believe that, not for a minute. And I've read a great deal about the assassination. If there was a conspiracy, I don't think it was at that level. I think it probably did involve more than one person, and it may have even involved some lower government officials.
What do you feel is the best way to determine what really happened to JFK on that day?
If I had the investigation start, I would just investigate medical evidence. The medical evidence, a clear investigation, will show that the government covered up the assassination. The next question would be, is why? Why did they cover up? Did they cover it up because they were participatory, or did they cover it up for some other reason? That's the question we've got to ask now.
Who do you believe killed Kennedy?
I believe he was killed by, and I hate to use a cliche term, but it's the one that most people can focus some identity on, although it's very, very inaccurate in a real precise sense, and that's an intelligence community with ties to the military-industrial complex.
It's beyond a reasonable doubt, and I would say even beyond a shadow of a doubt in my mind, that Lee Harvey Oswald did indeed kill President Kennedy. What connections there are that Oswald has to the CIA, the mafia, organized the military-industrial complex that Stone complains about, are nil, really.
I think Oswald killed Kennedy, but I think he had a little help.
Did Lee Harvey Oswald act alone? Was there a conspiracy to kill the President of the United States? In this heated debate, one thing is certain. The question of who killed Kennedy will be argued for years to come. Reporting for WTV, this is Ted Newberger.
The university has been very clear with the city on what our wishes are with respect to the percolator. We don't think it is the correct solution to student parking. We also don't believe that if this is a solution for one neighborhood, that it's necessarily the solution for another neighborhood. And we point very strongly to the area over behind the Student Center. There are whole blocks over there where the university owns all of the houses, and yet the students and the faculty and others are not allowed to park on the streets in front of our own property. And it seems very, very strange indeed that the city would not allow us to use the existing parking places, namely the sides of the streets in front of buildings that we own. So we think it's wrong and a little bit silly.
With the recent conclusion of the 1992 Winter Olympics, local skating pair Rocky Marvel and Kalle Urbanski had to settle for a 10th place finish. However, the mere excitement of skating on Olympic ice seemed to be enough for them. WTV's Tina Schaffery and Suzanne Marcus spoke to the skating team previous to their departure for Albertville.
Every young skater dreams of one day representing their country in the Olympics.
I started at age 6 on a pond in New Jersey. And from there, I took my first skating lesson at a place called the Ocean Ice Palace in Bricktown, New Jersey.
Yeah, I was about 4, and my parents started and myself, along with my sister and brother, as a recreational family thing to do.
But only the best will compete for the gold in Albertville this year. Many years of dedication and hard work have finally paid off for Kalle Urbanski and Rocky Marvel.
We train from about 9 to 3 or 4, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, and weekends off. You need it. We do on ice, off ice.
But this pair almost didn't make it. Frustrated with singles competition, each turned to pair skating as a last hope.
Pair skating really opened up. It was a new event. It was like a new sport because there's so many different things that you do than just the regular singles. So it was exciting, and I thought, well, I can make it to nationals and see where I can go from there.
Basically, I was pretty bored with singles at the time, and instead of quitting, I figured I'd try something different in skating, and that's basically why I started pair skating 6 years ago.
We kind of looked at each other and said, well, do you want to give it one last shot? And that was how we did it and got together and said it's all or nothing, and if this doesn't work, that's it. See you later, we're out of skating.
The duo trains at the University of Delaware Ice Arena under the watchful eye of Ron Ludington, a renowned coach of Olympic hopefuls.
You stay with your coach, you know he's a great coach and a famous coach, and, you know, the lessons went very well, so I was very happy to stay here.
There was a lot of pressure on the road to the Olympics.
Nationals is just such an intense competition, and, you know, you fight it all year round trying to get trained for it, and it's a very difficult moment when, you know, everyone's saying, you're going to the Olympics, you're going there. Well, we don't know that we're going. We're trying to get there.
Now that they finally made it, they can hardly believe they've achieved their dream.
basically when it comes true, you don't believe that that's really true. You're like, no. I mean, after all these years, like I've been skating for 20 years, she's been skating for 28 years. It's like, after 20 years, it's like, it didn't happen, did it? So it hasn't sunk in yet. I guess once we're marching in the opening ceremonies and hear the roar of the crowd, we'll realize that it actually.
Then
yeah.
everything's clicking now, and it's such a fantastic feeling. You don't dread. I mean, some mornings you dread coming to the rink because I have to go train. I have to go to the. It's not easy to be 100% every day, and it's been a joy these last couple of weeks.
But I think it's great that everybody gets a shot at it and gets a chance to make a run. And as Dick Tarrant says, his Final Four is making the Sweet 16 if he can. And I think that would be a very ambitious goal on the part of anybody that might not fall in that upper echelon category. Delaware certainly would have that chance.
Well, that's all for tonight. But join us tomorrow night on Delaware Avenue, where we'll take a look at what the University of Delaware has been doing to help ensure the safety of the students on campus.
We'll also talk to Ken Burns, the man behind the scenes of the popular Civil War series. Now for Kristen Nutt and the rest of the WTV staff, I'm Paul McAwee. We'll see you tomorrow on Delaware Avenue.
WTV 1992 would like to thank its local business sponsors: Newark Camera Shop at 63 East Main Street, Triangle Liquors at 104 North Chapel Street, Herman's Quality Meat Shop at 64 East Cleveland Avenue, the Down Under at 60 North College Avenue, Daffy Deli at 111 Elkton Road, the Cat's Eye Unisex Hair Salon at 144 East Main Street, and Margarita's Pizza at 134 East Main Street.